Hello everyone, today I'll be showing you a tool that helps debug texture resolution, texel density and UV consistency in your Unreal Engine projects. When a texture is rendered, Unreal Engine doesn't always use the full resolution image. Instead, it chooses from different map levels depending on factors like your screen resolution, how far you are from the object, and the method you have used for UV mapping. The texture debugging tool takes advantage of this by replacing your material's texture with a special checkerboard pattern. Each MIP level has its own unique color and resolution label so that you can instantly see which resolution is being sampled on any given surface. As modern games strive for realism and screen resolutions increase, the amount of work GPUs are required to do increases. This problem intensifies as the number of objects, materials, and textures increases inside our scene. For each new asset we are required to render, the asset must first be read from disk and loaded into memory. From there, the CPU will transfer the asset's data to the GPU for rendering. To accelerate this process, GPUs utilize VRAM to store assets for quick access for future frames. The issue arises when we realize that VRAM has small storage relative to RAM. All assets we want to quickly render must be loaded into VRAM. This includes models, textures, shaders, lighting information, and more. To best utilize VRAM, it is important that everything is as compressed as possible without losing visual fidelity. Creating and using oversized textures fills VRAM, as each texture and its MIP maps must be loaded for quick access. This is where the texture debugging tool comes in handy. By visualizing the highest utilized texture MIP level, we can identify the maximum resolution the texture needs to be loaded without reducing visual fidelity. To begin using the texture debugging tool, I have supplied some materials to instantly begin testing with. These can be simply dragged and dropped onto your assets you would like to test with. This can be handy for late into the project when you have a few assets you'd like to test. However, this method falls short when you have hundreds of assets to look through. The next method is to add the tool to your shaders. I've supplied a material function called mf_texture_debugger, which takes in your color input and your calculated UV coordinates. Then, inside your material instances will be a checkbox to enable testing for that material. The last method is the most hands-on approach. This you'll use in case you need more control than what the material function provides. All you need is one texture sampler and one of the provided debugging textures, and whatever UV calculations you'd like to perform. Everything is handled via the texture's MIP map values, so it will work out of the box for you. Finally, we can begin testing textures. Testing is as simple as applying the debugging texture to your asset, then placing your camera as close as you would expect the player to view your asset from. It's worth noting that your screen resolution does impact what the target MIP level will output. If you are viewing on a 2K monitor but targeting 4K, you can simulate a higher resolution here. With the camera, resolution, and asset all set up, you can now look at the output MIP level for that asset. Then simply locate your textures that you are testing and set the max texture resolution to match the output MIP level, and you're done. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below or send an email to my support email located on the product page.